you want to give us a squad update, please?
So after the weekend, Turnbull and Jens both missed out through illness, but they look like they'll be okay. I think that's it. And Jota, we'll just wait and see. He's still still a bit sore from the weekend, so make a decision tomorrow.
Got a last minute thing with him?
Yeah, he was, like I said, he pulled up sore on the weekend, and we just have to sort of assess it. It's a quick turnaround in games, so usually second day we've usually got a couple missing anyway, but obviously with the game tomorrow we're going to make a decision.
Expecting quite an open game. We played last week.
Yeah, look, I think if you look at both clubs' sort of approach, they like to be fairly direct and quick with their football, and I don't expect them to sit back at all. And I think, looking at the group as well, both teams probably, it's a game where a win is going to be fairly significant. So, and the nature of both football clubs, I don't know about open game, but I think it'll be a pretty quick game, and it'll be exciting.
Yeah, exciting. With Callum out, would you expect to use Matt in that defensive position while he's out?
Yeah, he's an option there for sure. I thought he did well on the weekend. We've obviously got 2 or 3 options we can play there. So again, it's more about just seeing how the guys pull up. Like our session today was fairly light. I'll ever think about it overnight, but we've got 2 or 3 options. But I thought on the weekend, Matt and Rao and Haksabanovic, looked good as a threesome. But as I said, we've got some other options too.
Ange, you'll be looking for a performance, but am I right in thinking you'll take any kind of a win tomorrow?
I don't think those things are mutually exclusive. I don't know why people think you need one or the other. I think if we put in a good performance, there's a good chance we'll get a good result. So, I think, from my perspective, the reason we go about our things the way we do is because we think it'll give us the best chance of success. So, I think for us, again, the focus is playing our football, putting in a strong performance against a good quality opponent, and they'll give us the best chance to get the result we want.
Yeah, they are good, aren't they? Especially middle to front. They've got some exceptional players there. How well matched do you think the two sides are?
Well, I think you saw last week. I think for most of the game it was pretty evenly matched. I think probably up until they scored the second goal, chances were fairly even on with both teams, and similar types of chances created with sort of quick transition movements. So like we know they've definitely got some strengths that we've got to be wary of, but I think we showed enough last week that we also have ways we can hurt them as well.
I think you probably showed in the first hour or so against Real Madrid as well. Is that the kind of intensity, the kind of performance you're looking for here again?
Yeah, at home. Yeah, I mean, I think we were good against Shakhtar. It's a game we probably should have won. So performances for the whole haven't been too bad considering the level of football that we're playing at. But as you said, at home it's a little bit of a different proposition for us for sure. With our support behind us and just the general atmosphere you get here, it's certainly for us it's proven that in big games it helps us just get the momentum going really early, and that's what we'll be looking for tomorrow night.
With Jota, given his importance to you and the nature of the player he is he one you give as long as possible to be fit and available, or potentially put on the bench hoping you can get something out of him?
No, it just comes down to whether we think he can play or not. I think with all the players, they're all important in different ways. So it's just that I said with a short turnaround, it's not unusual for somebody not to be right the day before a game when we've got such quick turnaround in games. But it's just a matter of whether he's right or not. If he's right, we'll play him. If he's not, then he'll miss out.
You've spoken since the game, so last midweek until today, about the need to be brave in these games and do what you do domestically in Europe effectively. In the interim, have you sort of reminded the guys of the things they've done well in the 3 matches so far, the moments when it has clicked and they have been positive?
Well, yeah, I mean, we did that in the review of the last game, because in the last game we did that. It was just, like I said, I just felt after we equalised, we just got a little bit into sort of, it's like self-preservation mode in terms of, the equaliser gave us something, and giving us something, we tried to hold on to that rather than seeking more. And I think when you fall into that trap, particularly against a team, that has the good quality, particularly in the front third, you leave yourself susceptible to sort of for them to hurt us. And but again, all these things are new experiences for our guys. You know, it's a bit different playing at this level, and you know they're also desperate to be successful, and for us to be successful. That you know when you get yourself back into a game like that, it's only human nature that kicks in and says to you, you know, we don't want to give that away. And like I said, you're kind of going to your shell a little bit, but you know, I'm sure the players would have learned from that, and you know, that's the sort of feedback that I gave them after the game. And, you know, when we were playing our stuff and sort of had a real positive mindset, we matched it.
If you've got ambitions to develop within this competition, adjust to it and move forward in it, are these the type of games at home where you should be looking to take points against them? Is that the kind of target when the group was drawn?
It's still it's still a process. I mean, I know people kind of, you know, want to go through these steps really quickly. You know, I think that the biggest take on us, we've created a lot of chances, we haven't taken them. Is it just a matter of taking those chances? Well, yes, it is, but that doesn't happen one day to the next. And it's the same with winning games at this level. It doesn't happen one day to the next. You know, you need to grow, you need to develop, you need to have a real sort of positive mindset in the way you go about things, and give yourself opportunities for success. And the more you're in that window of opportunity, the more likely over time you'll get the success. But it's not, you know, if it was easily fixable, then you'd see a lot more teams winning the Champions League, but you don't. You know, there's a reason a select few do, and there's a reason, you know, select few get through and into the later stages. But you've got to aspire to get there, and I think this is the best way forward for us.
You talked about having 2 or 3 options in Callum's position. Is it a case of sort of trial and error going forward, or are you quite assured on those options and it's more just sort of horses for courses?
I hope it's not trial and error, mate, because I spend a hell of a lot of time thinking about football and doing what I do. So there's a little bit of methodology that goes into it. But like I said before, you know, I guess with Callum, you know, when we're talking about the things we were talking about, he's one that has that experience at this level, and he knows what's required to win a game, even at Champions League level, and you know, at international level. So he's used to that sort of environment. He thrives in it. Now you can't replace that, because that you can only learn by experiencing it. So, you know, that's where we're going to have to, you know, just get other guys to hopefully take a leap forward and show that sort of, I guess, experience that maybe doesn't exist right now in that kind of environment. But in terms of our style of play, I still think, you know, we have players within the group that, you know, we can compensate for missing Callum.
You said after a few games recently about wanting the team to be more clinical and taking more chances. It's just about having that belief that you are creating chances, and, you know, the players will take them if you keep on creating them. Yeah,
again, I think it's similar to winning games. You know, the more sort of you give yourself an opportunity to score goals, the more likely is you'll get them. I think a much more difficult problem would be if we weren't creating chances at all, because then you'd be saying, well, you know, with the few chances we have to score. Because ultimately, if you want to win games, you have to score goals. There's no other way of going about it. So if we're creating chances and not taking them, I think the more we consistently do that, eventually we will take our chances. I think we have players in the group who can do that. But, you know, if we weren't creating the chances and we're relying on, you know, 1 or 2 opportunities a game, I think that's where it becomes a little bit more, you know, challenging.
Ange, did you always sense that, you know, the second half of this group campaign would be better for your team? Now you've played all the 3 teams now, you've had positive spells in all the games. Did you always think that you would maybe need a wee bit of time to settle in, and then you can kick on? Yeah, look,
you know, again, that's kind of what you hope for, that as we have more experiences at this level, that, you know, we become sort of more accustomed to, you know, to this level of football and what it means, and the fine lines between sort of, you know, success and not having success. But at the same time, it doesn't mean the challenge is any easier, because, you know, Leipzig are probably a better team today than they were in the first round, you know, so it doesn't make those challenges easier. The one thing you know about this level is, and that's what you need to get accustomed to, is that it is relentless. It is the highest level of club football, so there are no easy games. So you can play, you know, 100 games at Champions League level, and you know the next one is still going to be difficult. And I think that's the experience that you come through, that you go into every game understanding that. And, you know, maybe when you begin that, you think, well, maybe gets easier. It doesn't. It stays exactly the same. It's why even some of the greater sides haven't won it yet, because it's constantly demanding at this level.
And just looking at the group, do you see this as a must-win game if you want to progress?
I think I don't think I've ever gone into a game not thinking it's a must-win. I think if I came to this football club and thought, well, today it doesn't really matter if we win or not, it wouldn't go down too well. From the context of the group, as I said, it's pretty tight when you look at it. Sort of beyond, obviously, Real Madrid have started, well in the group, so they're obviously a bit more comfortable. But for the other three teams, we've still got 2 home games. Others have only got 1 home game, so every result you get puts a bit of pressure on the opposition. But again, for us, what's important is that we go out tomorrow night and put in a strong performance and give ourselves a chance for success. That's the first thing. You can't just hope for these things to happen. You've got to put yourself in a position where you can be successful. And
I know a few people have already mentioned it, but there's been a slight kind of change in shape with O'Reilly playing slightly deeper. Was that forced by the injury of McGregor, or was that change something that you had already planned to place with Haksabanovic in a number 10?
No, it's not a change of shape. We're playing exactly the same. It's just that Maddie's dropped into sort of Cal's position, and Haksabanovic has gone into Maddie's position. So the shape's exactly the same. But as I said before, it comes down to the different nuances of the players, because they're all a bit different now. Maddie doesn't play like Cal. Same way all our wingers aren't the same. Kyogo and Jacko are not the same. So we play the same way. It's just that the different players coming in bring different sort of qualities to it, and change maybe a little bit of the way we do certain things. But in terms of the shape, it's exactly the same.
David,
Hi, Ange. You talk about the loss of Callum for his Champions League experience. James Forrest has that in abundance too, and he looked very lively at the weekend. So, is he in your thoughts for tomorrow?
Yeah, he is, and that's why he's still part of what we're doing here, because I think it's important that you have players like him. And as you said, I thought he was really good when he came on the weekend. He took the game on. It was really positive, and he's one that has the experience, and also he's performed at this level as well. It's not just the experience; he's actually made impact at Champions League level, in big games for the football club at international level. So he's definitely part of the plans.
Lindsay, thanks. It's actually 9 years since Celtic won a Champions League group game. I don't know if you're aware of it or not. What kind of achievement would it be for you then to end that kind of disappointing run?
Yeah, look, I haven't been responsible for all 9 years, so you got to cut me a bit of slack. But it just shows that how hard it is, And I know I don't see it as failure. I mean, we've had some fantastic football teams at this club that haven't been able to win at this level, but we're not alone in that. There are plenty of fantastic football clubs and with great teams. It's like I said, it's the hardest level of club football. So they're hard to attain, and for us as a football club, it's where we want to be though, and that's what our ambitions are. There's no doubt about it. That's where our aspirations lie, to consistently be at this level. And if you're consistently at this level and playing well, you give yourself a chance to win games of football. But as I said, they don't get any easier as you go along, and it's a big challenge for us tonight. What a win would do is, as I said, give us more belief that we can continue on this road and become a really sort of well-credentialed Champions League football club.
Tasha.
And you're talking about belief, and it's something you mentioned after the game in Leipzig as well. Now, there's certainly belief in the squad when they pushed on to get that last-minute winner in Perth. How do you get that belief in the form in the domestic football to then transcend into the European games? Again,
just, as I said before, just through experience of guys, feeling that. I mean, the way we won on the weekend is not the first time we've done that. The players have experienced that before. We've been down in games with 10 men, in the last minute, and they've found a way to win. So when we conceded on Saturday, I know the only thought going through the players' head was, let's get the ball, there's still time, because they've experienced it, they've done it before. and you need to do it at this level, and then that's how you get the belief. It's easy for me to talk about it. Different when you're out there, particularly for this group of players who are still, for the most part, in terms of demographics, a young team. For me to pass that belief onto them without them going through it first. But I'm hoping that, as I said, with every game we play, they can see, they can feel it out there that when we're playing our football and we're playing well, we're matching it with very, very good football teams. So now it's a matter of trying to transfer that into having success.
And you're now well into this kind of chunk of huge games before the World Cup, and you made changes at the weekend. You'll probably make changes going into tomorrow night. Do you hope that by the end of this chunk of games before the World Cup, that the squad just now, we're obviously getting to look at different players coming in, you'll get that again tomorrow night, that by the end of it, the squad will be in a shape that you're probably really, really happy with? I'm sure you're happy with it at this point in time, but by the end of that huge run of fixtures, you've been able to see everybody and see what they give you? Yeah,
well, I mean, that'll be our challenge, because, I know you say we're into it, but we've still got another 10 or maybe 11 games to go, so, we're still at the beginnings of it, and already we're feeling the effects of it, like I think most clubs will through this period. I think it's not just us. You look at, other clubs that are playing, whether that's in England or in other leagues who have got, 11, 12 games in the space of 4 or 5 weeks. They're all going to be suffering a similar kind of thing that we are, and you have to change your team and try and protect your players so we can keep performing. But, it just depends how we get through this period, and, hopefully we'll get through it without too much sort of attrition in terms of the playing squad, and we can maintain our levels. But it really is a sort of game by game scenario for us, and trying to see where our players are at and which players potentially need a spell and which others are ready to come in. But it's pleasing for me that some of the guys who came in on the weekend really contributed to our performance, but you could tell at the end that they needed a game. So I think that 90 minutes will help some of the guys who probably haven't played a bit lately.
Okay, everyone been?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Just clarify the nature of Jota's injury.
Just muscle injury, fatigue. Too good looking.